Hello, and welcome back to Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. And we're on a roll. Another Moonman. Classic packaging, which is their secondary packaging. The C1 was in their upscale, the M6 and C1, but this one costs more money by about 50% more. So we usually see a label here on the side, and it's an M200, a fine nib. We'll give you some translations of applicable Chinese. This sleeve just slides off. Just have to pull the sleeve off. And we see a nice box, a nice silvery logo there, spring-loaded, opens it up. Yes, there was a sleeve on the pen, and here we have the pen. So I've been reluctant to invest in these, but when I bought the C1, I figured I might as well give one of these a try. As with all these pens, which I think started with the M100 from my experience, they just have a classic look to them, classic design, very stiff clip, which is going to function right. We have Moonman on the cap band, but nothing delineating the model. It's a nice dark green, we might call it emerald resin. The cap unscrews a little under 2 turns, and we'll see, to me, one of the deficiencies of the pen. That's a small number 5 nib, and they put a Schmidt nib in it. My guess is it'd been great if they would have designed this pen with a number 6 Moonman nib, but I think this pen predates that nib. Section's on the small side. Compared to the size of the pen, it's definitely on the small side, and it narrows down with a slight flare out at the end. You know, your pen is your classic size, fits good in the hand. It posts fairly well. Yep, stays on. I mean, this is a classy pen, and I think I've been talking about getting more classical pens, you know, something that isn't necessarily eye candy, but something I like to write with that's functional. So this just unscrews, nice metal insert here in the section, your standard converter, nothing special there. But, you know, we're going to flush this out, find a suitable green ink for it, and put nib to paper, pretty much knowing how it's going to write. These fine Schmidts are either okay or not too okay. We'll find out where this one sits in that mix. So I decided that we'd look at a study of green pens from China. We have the M200 here at the bottom, the Wing Sung 626, the Pen BBS in Kryptonite, and the M600 in the green check. So I think these are 4 very different greens. All of them, I think, have a certain amount of appeal to them. Choosing one as a favorite is not an easy thing for me. I mean, from an aesthetics viewpoint, I like the M600. I like the square top. I just like that classic, you know, Parker dual fold design. These are all Schaefer balance style designs evolving over time. Posted, these pens take on a different look. The M600 is definitely long. To me, the Pen BBS 308 or 266 as it was earlier called is a perfect size. Here's the 626 and then the M200. As we zoom in on the section and the nib, we'll see more differences. The first thing you'll notice is the M200 is definitely the smaller size nib. This is like a number 5. This is like a 5.5. This is closer to a 6, and this is more closer to a true 6. This is definitely the smallest section by quite a lot. This, I think, is an excellent size section. I'm very comfortable with that design. And a lot of the Pen BBS pens have pretty much the same shape and size section, which I really appreciate. Here we have that metal ring at the bottom like we do on the M600, which to me is a little bit of a quality look. So if I was to have to say, Chris, you can only have one of these 4 pens, I think I'd go with the 626. I just like the shape, the design, and the nib is a little soft, there's a little bounce to it, and writes very smooth. Here we have 3 Moonman pens that are similar in shape and design, but scale a different range. Here's an S1 in the koi finish, about $15, $16. Here's the M100, which I fell in love with, and I have 2 of them. The other one's a more vivid sandstone finish. And here's the M200. So one of the main differences, this is a very pointed end, this is a little bit rounded, and this is very rounded. So Aaron Penn noticed that when he did his reviews, and he's looked at more varieties of these Moonman balanced style pens. So if you want to check out more, check out Aaron's pens. Let's take a look at the nib end. Posted the M200 and the M100 are about the same length. The M200 I think posts a little bit more securely than the M100, and you have your S1 here. And let's look at the business end. Both the M200 and the M100 have those number 5 Schmidt nibs, and the S1 has a smaller Moonman style nib, and that's I tried to use the S1 as a daily carry, but it didn't live up to my expectations. The nib dried out a lot, so I just put it away. This section again is smaller and in a different shape and not as traditional as you have here on the M100. I want to think that this is similar to the Leonardo section, which is on a lot of their pens. So we're ready for inking it up and putting nib on paper. We're going to see how the flush shows flow. And this one is, I'd say, much better flow than in the C1, that Moonman M6 nib, which I just did. So I expect this to be a wetter writer. This test to me has always been good at determining how much ink can actually flow through the feed and nib. So here's the ink I decided to ink up the M200 with. It is a green pen. As we can see from the green dot, this is a green ink. It's Emerald 357 from Franklin Christoph. I'm not aware if they still sell this ink. I bought it at the Philly Pen Show, and I also bought Franklin Green, which is a little bit darker version of the green ink. Here's my color card. I mean, it's definitely a very nice shade of green. No sheen there. I'd say it's a medium wet ink. And obviously I like doing chromatography. So here's the chromatography. So what is green? It's yellow and blue. So that's definitely what shows up here. Vivid blue here at the top, a little bit of yellow and nothing. So I wouldn't think of this ink having any water resistance whatsoever, but for most of us, if we want water resistance, we'll get an ink that has water resistance. So this is an ink that's a very nice color and has some decent shading, and I enjoy writing with it. So I've now written with the M200 for a couple days now. No letters, but I've been to a few meetings and taken a few notes, so I feel comfortable in saying that I do like the pen. It has a decent weight to it. It'll give you those weights. It feels good. I mean, at the end of the day, pens are something you put in your hand and you experience a tactile sensation. So some people talk about the feel of ebonite. This is also warm to the hand, but it has like a glossy surface, that highly polished surface that you get from a turned resin. But at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable holding a pen for whatever reason, ergonomics, weight, balance, then you're probably not going to enjoy writing with it. So I haven't had any issues with the nib drying out. As we notice, the pen fits well in the hand, and I have medium to large hands, so if it fits in my hand, it will probably fit in anybody's hand. And I was originally concerned about the small section with just a slight turn up at the end, but after writing it with it for a while, I like it. It's okay. I wish it was about 1 millimeter more of a diameter at its narrowest point, and like the whole thing was up by about 20% would make it a lot more to my liking. But, you know, other people may enjoy a smaller section. I mean, of all the number 5 Schmidt nibs that I've used, which have been on Moonman pens, this is the best one. It's very smooth. I think you can hear there's just a little bit of noise. You're not going to get a nib with zero noise. It lays down a decent amount of ink. And with a little bit of pressure, it opens up a little bit. Not something you do on a regular basis, but it's nice. So it has a little bit of bounce to it. Because it is a little bit different ink you've probably not seen before, or if you have, it's been many years ago. So let's rate this pen. This was not an easy one. I'm going to give it a 9.1. And one check. And the one check is because it's extremely well made. It feels good in the hand. These block threads are a great improvement that Moonman has done, and they have it on the M6 wooden pen, and they have it on this pen, and hopefully they continue to do that block threading to eliminate the issues that some people had, and including me, of those fine threads that when you put the cap on, it just didn't feel like it engaged properly, and you felt there was some potential cross-threading or whatever. So I'm really glad to see that they did that. I think they could have put in their own Moonman nib and reduced the price by maybe $10, and this would make it a phenomenal buy and would have increased the rating, because the rating is value sensitive. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you'd enjoy this view of another amazing pen, and I'm constantly pleasantly surprised by the changes that Moonman, Pen BBS, Jinhao to a lesser degree, Fulawin, and a lot of other Chinese pen makers that have really, I think, produced pens that cater a little bit more to the Western market, and maybe the Chinese market is expanding their taste, so who knows? Sitting here in the East Coast of the United States, it's hard for me to speculate. And hopefully you all follow Frank Underwater in his blog. He's been a little bit busy at work, so the blog has not been as updated as it usually is, but I'm certain Frank will come through with some updates in the near future. So we've reached the end of this video. May you enjoy all your writing experiences. Hopefully you're fortunate enough to take advantage of this great variety of pens that we have available to us. Put nib to paper, put thoughts on paper. It's amazing what ink does when it's put on paper. It allows you to share and appreciate at a later date. So we're going to say bye for now. And I do think ink and nib and pen are a great combo.